Мы часто говорим о любви, о страсти, о грандиозных, всеохватывающих жестах, что связывают две души воедино. И это правильно, ибо между мужчиной и женщиной течет не просто страсть, но сама жизнь. Ток пульсирующий и сильный, способный формировать миры внутри них, между ними. Эта энергия, эта жизненная сила не просто физическая, это сама суть творения, исцеления, глубочайшего понимания. Это безмолвный язык, через который два существа узнают свою общую божественность. Но замечали ли вы, как иногда сама эта ткань близости, этот сложный гобелен, сотканный из общих мгновений и невысказанной нежности, начинает истончаться? Не от внезапного, драматического разрыва, не от яростного столкновения воль, но от тихого, почти незаметного ухода чего-то важного. Это не отсутствие чувств, не сознательное отворачивание от самой любви, но нежное, печальное угасание. Едва уловимое отступление тепла, подобно последним уголькам костра, медленно остывающим в ночи. Присмотритесь внимательно. Ощущали ли вы это в ней? Этот тонкий сдвиг — это смягчение ее внутреннего света. То, как ее энергия, та прекрасная спонтанная искра, сама ее живость начинает отступать, когда ее слова, ее истины, ее тихие откровения, ее глубочайшие прозрения, кажется, растворяются в воздухе, так и не достигая сердца того, к кому она обращается. Речь не о громких заявлениях, часто это происходит в маленьких, интимных откровениях, в общих наблюдениях, в нежных уязвимостях. Когда эти хрупкие нити связи выбрасываются, лишь чтобы не найти опоры, не встретить восприимчивой почвы. Это особенная тишина, не так ли? Не гневная, не вызывающая, даже не капризная. Но тишина, несущая слабый, затянувшийся отголосок чего-то глубокого, оставшегося невысказанным, чего-то жизненно важного, неполученного. Ее голос, некогда яркий, выражающий ее мир, ее потребности, ее радости, ее страхи, ее уникальную перспективу, начинает затихать. Как будто сами звуковые волны, некогда предназначенные для передачи жизненно важных сообщений через интимное пространство между вами, натыкаются на невидимый барьер. Они рассеиваются, исчезая без следа. И вместе с ними часть ее сияющего «я» отступает. Она не перестает говорить, возможно, но интенсивность ее речи, надежда, стоящая за ее словами, уменьшается. Это не отказ. Это не прихоть, рожденная мимолетной эмоцией или капризным настроением. Нет. Это нечто гораздо более глубокое. Глубокий, почти древний жест самозащиты. Когда ее истинный голос, ее аутентичное «я», ее интуитивная мудрость неоднократно сталкивается с отсутствием, не враждебностью, возможно, но отсутствием истинного слушания, отсутствием резонанса, отвлеченным взглядом, быстрым поверхностным ответом. Она не отходит от вас. Нет. Она уходит внутрь. Она уходит в священные, охраняемые чертоги своего собственного существа. Убежище, да, место глубокого самопознания, но также в контексте совместной жизни тихое заточение. Это обращение внутрь – защита того драгоценного нежного ядра. Она оберегает свою сущность не для того, чтобы наказать, не для того, чтобы воздвигнуть стены против любви, но чтобы сохранить хрупкое пламя своего духа. Ибо ее слова, ее выражения, ее глубочайшие импульсы – это не просто звуки или мимолетные мысли. Это мощные потоки ее жизненной силы. Они несут ее истину, ее интуицию, ее творческий дух, ее уникальный способ восприятия мира. Когда эти потоки блокируются, когда они не встречаются, не бывают по-настоящему услышаны, не усваиваются, не дочитаются, они не просто исчезают в никуда.
Они обращаются вспять, собираясь внутрь, иногда застаиваясь, иногда создавая невысказанную боль. И это больше, чем просто молчание. Это фундаментальный, почти геологический сдвиг в самом потоке жизни, энергии между вами. Яркий обмен, игривый танец энергий, спонтанное дарение и получение, он затихает. Источник ее интуитивной мудрости, источник ее спонтанной радости, глубина ее чувственности, они не иссякают внезапно. Но они становятся менее доступными, менее видимыми, менее предлагаемыми. Они отступают за завесу, сотканную из непризнанных слов и непринятых истин, из моментов, когда ее уязвимость была проявлена и встречена пустотой. Мы часто наблюдаем это тихое обращение. Мы видим, как тускнеет свет в ее глазах, как смягчается спонтанный смех, как игривое прикосновение становится менее частым, менее раскованным. Мы замечаем некую настороженность, тонкое отстранение ее полного присутствия. И мы думаем, возможно, что страсть просто покидает нас, что огонь сгорел, или что время просто взяло свое, или что она изменилась каким-то необъяснимым образом. Но часто, друзья мои, часто не страсть покидает нас. Это мы, через нашу собственную невнимательность, через нашу собственную неспособность по-настоящему слышать и принимать драгоценные дары ее души, тихо оставили жизненно важную часть себя и жизненно важную часть ее позади. Мы в некотором смысле забросили сам сад близости, пренебрегая почвой, где должна расти ее истина. Ее сущность, само ее существо, жаждет быть почувствованной, быть познанной, быть отраженной ей через зеркало вашего внимательного присутствия. Когда это зеркало затуманено отвлечением, или когда оно, кажется, смотрит мимо нее, или когда оно отражает только то, что оно хочет видеть, а не то, что она действительно предлагает, ее дух инстинктивно сохраняет себя. Это мудрость тела, мудрость души, первобытный инстинкт защиты самого священного внутреннего пламени. Она замыкается не против вас, а для себя. Подумайте об этом. Когда женщина глубоко дышит, жизнь дышит вместе с ней. Вселенная расширяется в этом священном ритме. Когда ее голос ярок, когда ее истина высказана и принята, мир вокруг нее расширяется, становится богаче, живее. И когда этот голос, это дыхание ее души, это выражение ее уникального внутреннего ландшафта кажется неуслышанным, незакрепленным, непризнанным. Что тогда? Расширение мягко сжимается. Сияющая энергия собирается внутрь, ищет тепла и подтверждения внутри себя, там, где когда-то ей суждено было течь наружу, в общее пространство связи, в яркий гобелен взаимного бытия. Желание — это язык, через который говорит душа. Это не просто зов тела, это песнь души. Ее глубочайшая тоска по связи, по резонансу, по истине, которая будет встречена истиной. И когда этот язык подавляется не осуждением, а чистым невнимательностью, отсутствием глубокого слушания, душа начинает шептать, затем лишь намекать, и, наконец, возможно, совсем замолкает в этом общем пространстве. Это не значит, что желание исчезло. Это значит, что его путь стал неясным, его песня неуслышанной. Мужчина не теряет силу с возрастом. Он теряет ее, когда перестает смотреть с удивлением, когда перестает по-настоящему видеть и слышать глубокую красоту и мудрость, что стоит перед ним, не как отражение его желаний, а как независимый суверенный источник жизни. И женщина не теряет свою искру из-за возраста или времени. Она теряет ее, или скорее прячет ее, когда отголоски ее глубочайшего «я» не находят восприимчивой почвы, не находят резонирующей камеры в сердце ее возлюбленного. Это обращение внутрь, это тихое отстранение, это не акт злобы и несознательная попытка создать дистанцию.
Это глубочайший акт самолюбия, священное сохранение ее внутреннего источника, ее уникального источника жизненной силы и истины. Но для сложного, деликатного танца между двумя душами это неизбежно создает дистанцию. Нежное, печальное пространство, где когда-то процветала яркость, где текла необузданная энергия, теперь заменено тихой, часто меланхоличной сдержанностью. Сам ток жизни, который связывает вас обоих, истончается, превращаясь в тонкий ручеек там, где когда-то текла река.
This is what happens when the profound inner world of a woman, her feelings, her unspoken truths, her delicate intuitions, are met with a wall of silence, or worse, with indifference, or perhaps most painfully, with a lack of understanding that feels like a dismissal of her very reality. It's not just her words that are unheard, you see. It is the echo of her very being, the subtle vibration of her soul. Her energy, that beautiful, expansive force, doesn't evaporate into thin air. It transforms. It begins its journey inward, seeking a new channel, a path of self-preservation. Like that water retreating beneath the surface, it searches for a place where it can still flow, even if unseen, even if unacknowledged by the world above. This feeling, this unspokenness, this sense of invisibility, of being unimportant, these are not trivial things. They are not fleeting emotions. Oh no, these are the very forces that create internal blocks, layer by layer, thought by unexpressed thought, feeling by unvalidated feeling. They build, slowly, almost imperceptibly, within the delicate architecture of her being.
A deep, unarticulated ache for something lost, something unexpressed. This is why so many of us wonder, why does passion disappear? How can intimacy truly return, not just as a physical act, but as a meeting of souls? How can desire become a source of inspiration, of strength, of creativity again, rather than a fleeting impulse or a source of frustration? The answer, perhaps, lies in understanding that the energy never truly leaves. It simply redirects. It waits. It waits for the channels to clear. It waits for the dam to be acknowledged, for the truth of its purpose to be seen. Between a man and a woman flows not just passion, but life itself. This flow, this sacred current, requires open hearts, open minds, and open ears. It requires a willingness to truly receive the other, not just with our senses, but with our very soul. And desire, oh desire, it is so often misunderstood, reduced to mere physicality. But I tell you, my friend, desire is not the body calling, it is the soul singing. It is the soul's deepest longing for connection, for union, for the ecstatic dance of life force. When that song is stifled, when it goes unheard, the soul itself begins to constrict. This journey, this quiet introspection you are undertaking, it is a profound act of self-love. It is the first step towards feeling the pressure behind the dam, towards understanding what ocean lies within, waiting to be rediscovered. To simply acknowledge this truth, to feel its resonance within your own being, is to begin the process of unblocking, of allowing the deep currents to rise once more. Love. Feel. A deep, unarticulated ache for something lost, something unexpressed. This is why so many of us wonder, why does passion disappear? How can intimacy truly return, not just as a physical act, but as a meeting of souls? How can desire become a source of inspiration, of strength, of creativity again, rather than a fleeting impulse or a source of frustration? The answer, perhaps, lies in understanding that the energy never truly leaves. It simply redirects. It waits. It waits for the channels to clear. It waits for the dam to be acknowledged, for the truth of its purpose to be seen. Between a man and a woman flows not just passion, but life itself. This flow, this sacred current, requires open hearts, open minds, and open ears. It requires a willingness to truly receive the other, not just with our senses, but with our very soul. And desire, oh desire, it is so often misunderstood, reduced to mere physicality. But I tell you, my friend, desire is not the body calling, it is the soul singing. It is the soul's deepest longing for connection, for union, for the ecstatic dance of life force. When that song is stifled, when it goes unheard, the soul itself begins to constrict. This journey, this quiet introspection you are undertaking, it is a profound act of self-love. It is the first step towards feeling the pressure behind the dam, towards understanding what ocean lies within, waiting to be rediscovered. To simply acknowledge this truth, to feel its resonance within your own being, is to begin the process of unblocking, of allowing the deep currents to rise once more. Love, feel, breathe. The energy within you has never died. It's been waiting for you to awaken. We speak of energy, of currents that flow through us, between us. And often, we reduce this profound, life-giving force to something singular, something purely physical. But the true nature of sexual energy, my friends, is so much grander. It is not merely physical desire. It is the very current of life itself, the primal impulse that drives creation, that heals, that weaves the tapestry of existence. It is sacred. Consider this for a moment. Feel the rhythm of your own breath. When a woman breathes deeply, truly deeply, life breathes with her. The universe expands through her lungs, through her very being. And in that breath, in that expansion, resides an immense, potent force. It is the wellspring of her creativity, her intuition, her capacity for nurturing, for joy. But what happens when that breath is stifled? What happens when her voice, her truth, her very essence is not heard? Not merely listened to, but heard, truly received, understood, held in the space between two souls. When she is heard, her inner river, this sacred current, begins to flow. It deepens, it widens, it becomes a rich, fertile landscape within her. This is not about words alone. This is about resonance, about the silent recognition that passes between hearts, about the feeling of being witnessed in all her complexity, in her vulnerability, in her strength. Desire, you see, is often misunderstood. We are taught to see it as a base impulse, a physical craving. But I ask you to consider another truth. Desire is not the body calling, it is the soul singing.
It is the soul reaching out, yearning for connection, for expression, for the profound dance of creation. When that song is silenced, when it remains unheard, a part of her begins to recede. The melody fades, the current slows. To be heard for her means to be seen, to be recognized in her very essence. It is a validation that goes beyond words, beyond actions. It is an affirmation of her spirit, a mirror reflecting her deepest truth. Without this recognition, this profound seeing, how can her spirit unfurl? How can her sacred energy express itself fully? Think of a flower, a magnificent, vibrant bloom bursting with color and life. It turns naturally towards the sun, drawing sustenance, warmth, and light into its core. Without that sunlight, that essential nourishment, the flower cannot open completely. It withers, it folds in upon itself, it loses its capacity to share its beauty, its fragrance, its very purpose. Being heard is like sunlight for her soul. It allows her to open, to blossom, to share the magnificent spectrum of her inner world. It fuels her vitality, her radiance. It allows her to trust, to feel safe enough to reveal the tender, potent core of her being. And this sacred exchange flows between a man and a woman. It's not just passion that moves between them. It is life itself, a shared current, vibrant and profound. And the depth, the richness, the very vitality of that current depends entirely on how deeply we are capable of hearing each other, not just with our ears, but with our hearts, with our very souls. It is in this space of deep listening, of profound recognition, that the sacred current truly thrives. It is where the soul finds its song, where the breath of life expands, and where the deepest intimacy, the most profound connection, can finally take root and flourish. When she feels truly heard, truly seen, her energy is not just unblocked, it is celebrated. It becomes a source of limitless inspiration, of healing, of shared creation. So listen deeply, not just to the words, but to the silence between them, to the unspoken longings, to the subtle currents of the soul. For in that listening, you unlock not only her, but also a deeper truth within yourself. You awaken the flow. So how do we invite this current back, this precious, vital flow, when it seems to have receded, when the connection, once so vibrant, feels distant, unheard? The path, my friends, often lies not in louder words, but in deeper presence. It asks us to cultivate a kind of seeing, a kind of hearing that transcends the surface. For the man, this means not merely listening with the ears, but hearing with his entire being. It means feeling her energy, the subtle vibrations of her inner world, as if they were a melody he yearns to understand. It is about looking at her, truly seeing her, with that same wonder, that same awe that first sparked a connection in the heart of youth. Because a man doesn't lose power when he ages. He loses it when he stops looking with wonder, when his gaze becomes habitual rather than a fresh discovery, when he ceases to be amazed by the intricate dance of her spirit. And for the woman, her journey is a gentle unfolding. It's the quiet realization that her retreat, her soft closing down, was never about rejection. It was protection. A sacred boundary, perhaps, erected when her voice felt lost in the wind. It is the soft permission she grants herself to open again, knowing that there now exists a space where her deepest stirrings will be not just heard, but received. A space where her energy will be met not with judgment or expectation, but with reverence and acceptance. This is the return to a touch that heals more profoundly than 1,000 words could ever hope to. A touch that says, without speaking, "I am here. I am with you." It's the rediscovery of a gaze, steady and profound, that whispers, "I see you. I truly see you." In that seeing, in that deep recognition, something primal awakens. For attraction is not sin. It's the universe remembering itself. A remembering of unity, of the inseparable dance of masculine and feminine, reflecting the grand cosmic embrace. Love. Feel. Breathe. The energy within you has never died. It's been waiting for you to awaken. And sometimes, in the quiet spaces between us, a profound silence falls. Not the silence of peace, but one born of a subtle withdrawal. Have you felt it? That moment when the natural current of connection, the easy flow of warmth, begins to recede, like a tide pulling back from the shore. It leaves behind a kind of emptiness, an ache not always understood. For her, when she feels unheard, a delicate mechanism within her shifts. It's not a conscious decision often. It's a primal response, a way of protecting the tender core of her being. When her voice, her truth, her subtle signals go unacknowledged, unreceived, something profound within her contracts. She doesn't necessarily lash out. Often she simply shuts down. Not out of spite, but out of a deep, instinctual need for self-preservation. It's as if a soft inner curtain descends, dimming the light, muffling the music of her soul. And for him, when he perceives that withdrawal, that sudden quietness, a different kind of disconnection can begin. He might feel confused, frustrated, or even rejected, unaware of the subtle plea that preceded her retreat. He might try harder, or he might in turn withdraw, creating an even wider chasm. This isn't about blame. This is about understanding the intricate dance of human energy. When she shuts down, when her spirit feels unheard, it's not just her desire for physical closeness that fades. It's a much broader, deeper current that slows. Her laughter might become less spontaneous. Her creativity might feel dulled. The very spark in her eyes, that vibrant, living glow, can become muted. She becomes less available, not just to a partner, but to life itself. This state, this quietness, can persist for weeks, months, even years, and we begin to believe that the wellspring has dried up, that the passion has simply vanished. We mourn its loss, perhaps, or we simply resign ourselves to a life lived with a dimmer flame. We might seek answers in external things, in new experiences, or in a deeper retreat into solitude. But the truth, the profound, simple truth, is far more comforting than that. That energy, that deep, sensual current that makes us feel alive, connected, vibrant, it never truly dies. It cannot.
It is the very essence of life itself. Think of a river. When it meets a dam, its flow is halted, its waters gather, perhaps even stagnate for a time. But the river itself hasn't ceased to exist. Its power, its potential remains, simply waiting for an opening, a release, a new path to carve. Our sensual energy is much the same. It simply waits. It waits for permission. Permission to flow again, to manifest itself freely, authentically. And this permission, often, must first come from within. For when we feel unheard by another, a deeper silence often takes root. We stop hearing ourselves. We silence our own instincts, our own longings, our own subtle wisdom. We become afraid of our own power, our own desire to be truly seen, truly felt, truly heard. This fear, this quiet apprehension, is the subtle dam. It's the fear of vulnerability, the fear of rejection, the fear that if we open ourselves fully, we might be dismissed again, or worse, hurt. So we hold back, we protect, we dim our own light, believing it's safer to remain unseen than to risk shining and being unappreciated. But imagine, for a moment, what happens when that fear begins to yield. What if we could offer ourselves that gentle permission? What if we could begin to listen to the soft whispers of our own soul, even when the world outside feels noisy or indifferent? When a woman breathes deeply, truly deeply, life breathes with her. Her body remembers its inherent wisdom, its capacity for pleasure, for joy, for connection. Her breath, often shallow when she feels unheard, begins to expand, drawing in not just air, but life force, and with each fuller breath, she reclaims a piece of herself. Desire, you see, is not just the body calling, it is the soul singing. It is the soul's language, yearning for connection, for expression, for the profound experience of being alive and fully present. When that song is stifled, when that language is unheeded, the body, as its instrument, reflects that silence. But the song is never truly gone. It simply waits for the internal permission to resonate once more. And for a man, too, this internal permission is vital. A man doesn't lose power when he ages. He loses it when he stops looking with wonder, when he stops truly seeing, truly listening, truly engaging with the mystery of life, both within himself and in the woman beside him. His strength, his vitality, his very essence are deeply intertwined with his capacity for presence and awe. When he reconnects with that wonder, when he dares to truly hear, not just with his ears but with his heart, his own life force begins to surge anew.
Between a man and a woman flows not just passion, but life itself. It is a sacred current, a healing force. And when this energy is blocked, when the channels of communication and understanding are closed, we don't just lose sex, we lose vitality. We lose the creative spark, the inspiration, the deep sense of meaning that energizes our entire existence. Our world feels flatter, less vibrant, less infused with joy. Attraction, in its purest form, is not sin. It is the universe remembering itself. It is the recognition of the divine spark in another, a magnetic pull that reminds us of our own wholeness, our own potential for expansion and connection. When we allow fear to overshadow this fundamental truth, we deny a part of our very nature.
We deny the sacred current that seeks to flow, to intertwine, to create new life, new ideas, new forms of beauty. So how do we begin to grant this permission? It starts with presence. It starts with listening, not just to a partner, but to the softest murmurs of our own being. What does your body long for? What does your soul yearn to express? Can you sit with that longing, that yearning, without judgment, without fear? Can you simply acknowledge its existence, like a quiet friend who has been waiting patiently? When we cease to be afraid of our own strength, our own deep desire to be heard, and crucially, to truly hear another, that is when life begins to pulse through us again. It fills every corner of our being, from the tips of our toes to the crown of our head. It's a return to ourselves, a return to our partner, a return to the deep, sacred, exhilarating dance of life itself. This is not about forcing anything. It's about opening. It's about trusting the inherent wisdom of your own being and the natural flow of connection that yearns to be restored. Love, feel, breathe. The energy within you has never died. It's been waiting for you to awaken.